Since the founding of the United Federation of Planets, one of their primary missions was the exploration of the galaxy, sending ships and probes to chart much of the Alpha and Beta quadrants. Unfortunately, the limitations of their warp technology made traveling to the Gamma and Delta quadrants impractical, as even their fastest vessels would take decades to arrive. However, late into the 24th century, the Federation struck upon two unexpected opportunities to learn about these distant regions. While it fell to Captain Janeway and the crew of the starship Voyager to journey through the Delta Quadrant alone, the exploration of the Gamma Quadrant became a collective effort through the discovery of the Bajoran wormhole in 2369. To the deeply religious people of Bajor, this event represented the opening of the Celestial Temple, where their gods the prophets resided. Yet few outsiders cared about the existence of non-corporeal wormhole aliens, instead focusing on the potential of having a gateway into a new and distant part of the galaxy. Curious about the region, the Federation launched a probe in the 22nd century and were able to acquire some information through the Barzan wormhole, which had one end fixed in the Alpha Quadrant, while the other end jumped to different locations. Yet the discovery of the Bajoran wormhole, which covered a distance of roughly 70,000 light-years, represented a far more substantial opportunity for not only exploration but also trade and diplomatic relations, leading many to start organizing expeditions. Ever eager to expand their knowledge about the universe around them, it was the Vulcans who led many of the early missions, making a number of interesting discoveries, including the remains of the ancient hur'q species, who long ago traveled to the Beta Quadrant and conquered the planet of Konos, looting many priceless Klingon artifacts. As a result of their findings, the Klingons, Kor and Worf, aided by their friend Jadzia Dax, launched a successful mission to recover the lost sword of Kahless. Though many of the species they met were amicable, not every interaction was pleasant, as one of the first people they encountered were technologically advanced hunters who bred sentient beings known as Tosk, and trained them all their lives to be worthy prey. Feeling sympathy for the Tosk, the Federation was willing to provide asylum, but he refused, as their culture considered it a great honor to be one of the hunted. The Federation soon made many more discoveries, learning of civilizations with history dating back millions of years, and found that the ancient Iconians, who built travel gateways through the Alpha and Beta quadrants, had also expanded into the Gamma Quadrant, settling the planet of Vandros 4. Yet one of the most remarkable findings was that they were not the first humans to explore the Gamma Quadrant, as they encountered the woman Vash, who spent 2 years in the region thanks to her travel companion Q, who she initially met aboard the Starship Enterprise. They also learned of the planet Meridian, home to a small population who lived most of their lives as pure consciousness, reverting back to humanoid form for only brief periods every 60 years. As more ships started to travel to and from the Gamma Quadrant, the Ferengi organized a number of trade missions, hoping to strike lucrative deals with species who knew nothing about their dishonorable reputation. The Klingons also took advantage of the wormhole, sending ships for colonization, as did the Bajorans, who settled the planet of New Bajor in 2370. When one of Bajor's most respected leaders, Kaiopaka, suffered an accident that forced her to remain on a Gamma Quadrant moon, she dedicated the rest of her life to bringing peace between their warring factions. These explorers who ventured into the Gamma Quadrant learned of worlds like Agrotha, which was ruled by the Agrotha Authority, and were known for their unique approach to criminal justice, imprinting memories of incarceration that felt real to the prisoner, rather than actually keeping them confined. There were the planets of Dosi and Karema, who traded with the Ferengi, the Wadi, who used living beings as pieces in their games, Rakar, which was governed by an oppressive regime that killed dissidents and their families, and Sultana, home to an extinct species who left behind a telepathic archive that described the power struggle that destroyed them. However, the tidings of new discoveries and trade deals soon started to decrease, as rumors spread about the Dominion, a fiercely territorial superpower said to rule over large portions of the Gamma Quadrant. Eventually, the Federation learned the Dominion were led by the Founders, a species of highly intelligent and technologically advanced non-humanoid shapeshifters, who were revered as gods by the two genetically engineered species they helped create, using the Vorta to administer their holdings while the Jem'Hadar fought their wars. Though the Founders had little interest in running the day-to-day operations of the Dominion, for 10,000 years they were ruthless in eliminating any opposition, holding a deep hatred for the solid species of the galaxy, who in the past hunted their kind and threatened their very survival. When the planet of Teplin made the mistake of defying the Dominion, the Founders responded by introducing a disease called the Blight, which took an advanced, thriving civilization and left them in ruins. Learning from these examples, other worlds like Yadara Prime did not resist and abandoned many of their ancient ways to assimilate into the new power structure. This instinct for self-preservation once again emerged when ships of unfamiliar solids started appearing and violating their space, leading them to order the Jem'Hadar to deal with these outsiders, pushing the Alpha Quadrant presence back through the wormhole, as well as destroying a Federation ship and the colony of New Bajor. They then began a campaign of destabilization, sending spies and infiltrators through the wormhole to wreak havoc amongst their new enemies, arranging for the espionage agencies of both the Cardassians and Romulans to launch the Battle of the Omarian Nebula. This failed preemptive strike against the Founders then allowed the Dominion to present themselves as the aggrieved victims of an unprovoked attack, while also crippling 2 enemy spy agencies and damaging the reputation of their governments. Though the Dominion gained the Cardassian Union and Breen Confederacy as allies, sending an armada of ships and supplies to fuel their war of conquest, the Federation, Klingons, and Romulans banded together to stop the invasion, mining the entrance to the wormhole to prevent more Gamma Quadrant reinforcements from arriving. Despite the Dominion removing the mines, the wormhole aliens worshipped by Bajor chose to intervene on behalf of their emissary Benjamin Sisko and would prevent any enemy ships from crossing through. Even without further help from the Gamma Quadrant, the Dominion nearly won the war, but in the end the Federation alliance emerged victorious, pushing the invaders back to the Cardassian homeworld, where they negotiated the female Founders' surrender in exchange for being given the cure for the morphogenic virus threatening to destroy their people. And so in 2375, government representatives witnessed the signing of the Treaty of Bajor, which stated that the Dominion must give up all territory in the Alpha Quadrant, leaving the Breen and Cardassians as sovereign powers. In addition, they agreed that the female founder would stand trial for war crimes, while all Dominion military forces promptly returned to the Gamma Quadrant. The task then fell to Odo, a changeling who sided with the Federation, to travel to the founder homeworld and cure their people, so they might continue to rule the Dominion. Love audiobooks? Then be sure to check out Audible, where they have the world's largest collection available. Simply sign up through the link in the description box below and get 2 free audiobooks to start out. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Warden of the X, Christ Walder, The Crimson Shadow, Tamika the Black Wolf, Ryanon, and Checo the Clever. If you'd like to help CivilizationEx, click on the Patreon link, and please be sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and click on the links to see more.